Good evening. I'd like to call to order the council meeting of April 24th. The clerk could please read the roll.
Certainly. Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Present.
Councilmember Koss.
Here.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Present.
Councilmember Spitzley. Councilmember Wood.
Here.
There are 6 members present at quorum. Councilmembers Garza and Spitzley are absent. And we are to the meditation and pledge of allegiance.
Do we have anyone who would like to have someone that they'd like us to remember at this time? Seeing none, if we could please rise. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have proceedings for approval tonight, so we are to special ceremonies. We have a tribute in recognition of Against All Odds Foundation's anniversary.
And if we, Councilmember Hussein and those that are here for that presentation, if you could come down into the well.
Oops, sorry. If you guys want to just quickly introduce yourself for the group, and then what I'm going to do is actually read a little bit from the tribute. We'll move the resolution of tribute, and then I'll give you an opportunity to speak. Okay?
Okay,
All right.
sounds good. Hi, I'm Shirley Carter Powell, the founder and president of Against All Odds. And this is,
Dwayne Powell, I'm her husband.
All right. And as most people know here, Shirley wears a number of hats and just does a number of things. And so when I saw this, I was thrilled, since Councilman Garza is not here, that I was able to actually present this on behalf of the council. So in any event, there's this fantastic organization, Against All Odds, that was, my understanding, put together as a 501c3 back in 1999.
Yes.
So we're here to do a couple things. Number one, recognize them for their 24th anniversary and 24 years of service. But then beyond that, my understanding is there is also a luncheon that is
Yes.
upcoming. All right. So I'm first going to read the tribute, and then we will move the resolution of tribute, and I'll let you all speak to the luncheon specifically.
okay,
It says, whereas Against All Odds Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 breast cancer organization dedicated to providing emotional and educational support services for African American women of all ages in all stages of breast cancer, along with their families, encouraging them to reclaim their lives. And whereas according to the National Breast Cancer website, every 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. It is the most common cancer amongst women worldwide. And whereas Against All Odds Foundation hosts fundraising events such as the Women of Vision Luncheon to help benefit these strong women in need. And whereas Against All Odds Foundation has dedicated their website for women to share special stories of hope and spread positive words of encouragement to other women, no matter where they are in life or in their stages of breast cancer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lansing City Council hereby recognizes the 24th anniversary of Against All Odds Foundation Women of Vision Luncheon Denim and Pearls to further support women empowering women, sharing knowledge, hope, and encouragement, and that there is life after a breast cancer diagnosis.
Yes,
And
it
with
is.
that, I would move the resolution.
We have a motion on the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. You want to say a few
Yes.
words? Sure.
Thank you so much, Council, Adam. And I like to say that I like to invite each person here to come to our luncheon. It's our 15th Women of Vision Luncheon. And what we do at the luncheon, we honor all cancer survivors, not just breast cancer. So it's a lot of fun. It's networking, entertainment, silent auction, and get to know and empower each other from this networking session. It's going to be May the 13th And this year, we're going to be holding it at the Royal Scott in their banquet room. So it's from 11 to 2. So you're invited to come out. Council, thank you for your support. And if you need to know more information, you can go to our website, againstalloddsfoundation.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much. We appreciate you guys being here.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Are there any comments by council members? Councilmember Cost.
Thank you, President Wood. I just have a few things. ENO, Eastside Neighborhood Organization, will be celebrating their 50th anniversary. That's going to be on a Tuesday, not Wednesday, May 2nd, at the Foster Community Center, room 213. That's the second floor, from 6 to 8 p.m. I understand there's going to be a little lesson on history about ENO and the 50 years at that meeting. My constituent contact meeting for the first ward is going to be May 6th from 10 to noon, and that's going to be at the Rio train station, which is 1203 South Washington Avenue. My understanding is there will be a fabulous gift package from one of our local retailers on showcase at that ward meeting if you'd like to check it out. And then Jones Lake, northeast Lansing, there is a park there that the Parks Department just put a dock in and stocked with fish. If you don't know about this little lake, I suggest you check it out. It is ready for fishing, and that is off of Turner Road, West Frederick dead ends where you park. And it is a neat little First Ward park. If you have not heard of it, check it out. I think 3 different species of fish have been stocked.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilman Cost, for your work up there, because Jones Lake was part of the 4th Ward, and they switched the boundaries up, so glad to see that you already made some positive changes up there. I also want to announce our 4th Ward constituent contact meeting. It will be every 4th Saturday, so this month that falls on May 27th, 10 o'clock at Gregory's, which is 2510 North MOK. We'll talk about everything 4th Ward and City of Lansing related. And I would like to recognize the mayor who made it this past Saturday to the meeting, and everybody else who came out. Thank you for that and the conversation, and look forward to seeing you this month.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Sure, I just wanted to congratulate one of our colleagues actually on running the Boston Marathon in under 3 hours. My motto is run, win, chased, so congratulations. That's a very wonderful accomplishment. That's all to Brian Jackson. Thank you.
Okay, any other Councilmember Hussein.
Sure. I want to first announce that Rejuvenating South Lansing will have their monthly meeting actually tomorrow, April 25th. This is at 6:30 p.m. The group will meet in the Sandy Allen Room at the Elfrida Smith Southside Community Center. That's at 5825 Wise Road. My understanding is that the Fire Marshal's office will actually be on hand to briefly speak to the new fire alarm program. And then after that, if anybody's ever been to an RSL meeting, you know that we always have what's called a power meeting. And that typically is really meant to not only energize the participants, but really prioritize issues, build relationships that we can actually leverage to take on issues facing South Lansing and really the rejuvenation of South Lansing. So we encourage folks to come out. I promise you will not be sorry. These are fantastic meetings. This group dates back to 2015. There was a small hiccup known as COVID-19, but we were thrilled to begin meeting again this year, and again, we hope to continue to grow our numbers. And then the next 3rd Ward constituent contact meeting will actually take place May 13th, and that is at the same location, same room, Elfrida Smith Southside Community Center, 5825 Wise Road. We are meeting from 10 to 12 noon. We typically have a focus every meeting, and this month's focus, or I should say next month's focus, May 13th, will be economic development in Southwest Lansing. We will have the Lansing Economic Development Corporation on hand to speak to economic development in Southwest Lansing, what is being done now, what's coming down the pike, what we can do to better market our corridors and commercial districts so we can eliminate blight and add to I should say, the livability of the community as well as the economic viability. But then we're also working right now to have a number of property owners there that right now own critical properties in terms of moving our corridors and districts forward. So you think of 3700 South Waverly, you think of the Metro Bowl location, you think of the old Maple Grove School, you think of, when we actually just had a consultant in with regard to the Logan Square last month, sorry. But what we are looking to do is to get the Zhang brothers in who actually own Logan Square, and the list goes on. And so I think that conversation hopefully will bear fruit, and we would love for you to take part. Again, that's May 13th, 10 to 12 noon. And then I was also going to congratulate Mr. Jackson. I was actually kind of watching the updates coming live, and what I noticed with every mile was 6 minutes and about 30 seconds to somewhere like 7:15. And as somebody that used to run cross country, and I don't think I ever did sub 8-minute miles, frankly, to be able to string 26 of those things together at that time is incredible. So congratulations to Mr. Jackson.
Are there any other council comments? Seeing none?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of things. First, I want to thank Lauren Welch, who's been our intern for these past few months. She's going to come and help train our new intern at the next meeting, but tonight's her last official meeting as our council intern. So thank you, Lauren. You've been a joy to work with. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is tomorrow at 4 p.m. is the filing deadline for the city council seats that are up for election this year. We have 2 at-large seats, the 1st Ward and the 3rd Ward. Filing would need to be done in my office here at City Hall. And I don't think anyone would have time to collect petition signatures, but you can file with a $100 filing fee. So anyone who's interested in filing for any of those positions, you have until 4 p.m. tomorrow to file in my office here in City Hall. And with that, we are to community event announcements. If anyone in the audience has a community event, we'll give you 1 minute to announce the details of your event.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa Tursak. I am here to invite you all and the community members, nonprofit organizations, anyone interested in the nonprofit world at large, tomorrow, April 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Armory, 330 Marshall Street. Nonprofit Network is hosting an open house in partnership with Capital Region Community Foundation, Michigan Nonprofit Association, and United Way of South Central Michigan to celebrate Nonprofit Network's new satellite office inside of the Armory. So please feel free to stop by. I heard a couple of conflicting events happening at that time, so no worries if you can't make it, but if you know anyone who would be interested in networking and some light snacks, send them our way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other community event announcements?
The Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries is hosting a hands-on tombstone cleaning workshop this Sunday in Mount Hope Cemetery, beginning at 1 o'clock. And if you have ever wanted to know how to clean monuments or markers without doing any harm, this workshop is for you. The do no harm techniques taught follow the Cemetery Conservators for United standards, methods, and materials. The workshop will be led by Andrew Noland of Silent Cities, a restoration and preservation specialist. You'll learn how to clean, when to clean, and if you legally can clean. A lot of people are under the mistaken impression they can wander into a cemetery and decide to clean a marker or a monument thinking they're doing a good thing, and they legally are not allowed to do it. Supplies will be provided for the tombstone cleaning experience, but we suggest you bring your own disposable gloves and a folding chair. Please register online, and the online link is on our Facebook page at Friends of Lansing's Historic Cemeteries, and also on our website at folhc.org. wildapricot.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Other community events?
Hey, fourth Thursday of every month at the Fledge, we have the Community Forum on Mental Health. It's just a powerhouse opportunity to share, different perspectives on mental health, client stories, parent stories. It's just a chance for activism, and I want you all to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other community events? All right, seeing none, we will move on to registration for public comment on legislative matters. That's the blue form, and you are able to discuss items 3 through 18 on the agenda. Will be last call. We'll give you about another minute to jump up and talk to Lauren, and in the meantime, we're to the mayor's comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council. I do have 2 items that I'd like to report at this time, and then towards the end, I'd like to make just a few announcements. Mayor asked me to inform you about 2 operational items that we're very pleased to report. The first one is on yard waste collection, and give you an update on that. Very happy that we're on top of that, and things are going very well. This week, we were just a few hours behind on Monday's route. I should say last week, I'm sorry, but we caught up on Tuesday, and then we finished all the routes by Thursday. Now, this week, it's sort of running the same. Unfortunately, we had one truck break down, so it's going a little bit slower, but we anticipate that this week's collection should be complete by Thursday, but no later than Friday if needed. So we're doing very well on yard waste collection. If anybody has any questions, let me know. If there's somebody with an issue, please let me know, and I'll do my best to follow up. But again, we're very pleased that that's going on. We're very thankful to our public service crew. And the other item that we wanted to announce as well, is on operations. I know that perhaps some of you may know this, and this relates to code enforcement. The Rivershell apartments, I'm sure many of you are aware that we've been dealing with them for quite a while to get them to come up to speed on some of their repairs. And I'm very, very pleased to report that we finally got them all into compliance this past week. And the entire complex is now 100% compliant, and they have a valid rental certificate that's good until August the 1st, 2024. And again, that's very good news, and we wanted to let you know about those 2 items. So again, if you have any questions, please send them to me, and I'll make sure I can update. So thank you, City Council.
Thank you. Before we move on, I have a couple of questions. Jane, I realize the mayor is not here, and you might have to get it back with this information. But Friday, during an interview that he had done on WLNS, he talked about the housing situation. He did bring up the fact that he had reached out to Senator Peters and Senator Stabenow for funding. I was under the impression that earmarks that were going to them were going to be brought to council. We were going to have some discussion about that, and from the way the interview was done, it seemed like the request had already been put in. Could you please check on that and then follow
I'd be
back
happy
up
to.
with us?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are to public comment on legislative matters, and again, that includes items 3 through 18 on the agenda. Item 3 is a public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure. So the only public hearing we have before us tonight deals with our Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024. We did have Doris Witherspoon in at our last Committee of the Whole meeting to discuss essentially the annual action plan is a proposed one-year spending plan for a number of different programs, federal programs, Community Development Block Grant, Home, as well as Emergency Solution Grants program. It is, as explained to us, crafted in a way that supports our 5-year consolidated plan And the 5-year consolidated plan currently covers us, or the city, through the year 2026. With regards to the 3 different programs, Community Development Block Grant dollars can be used for community revitalization, meant to benefit low and moderate income residents. It can be used for the elimination of slum and blight and address urgent community needs. We think of economic development, we think of housing activities, public facilities, and the like. In terms of home funding, this is funding meant for down payment assistance, for new construction of homes, for housing rehab activities and the like. But the idea is that, or I should say the goal, the objective, is for home ownership for low and moderate income households. And then there is the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, where the dollars are really meant to assist homeless people through rapid rehousing, street outreach, and the like. With regards to our allocations for 2023 and 2024, well, and it was also explained to us that the annual action plan kind of serves as an application to HUD for these funds. And so it is not always the case that we know what our allocations are. However, this year we actually do know what our allocations will be. So with regard to Community Development Block Grant, we are looking at $2,070,597. With regard to home allocation, we're looking at $833,394. In the terms of the ESG funding, we're looking at $181,593. All of these do consist of increases from last year. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Nicholas Zandy, followed by Emily Childress. You'll have up to 3 minutes each, so.
Okay. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. I'm here to talk about agenda items number 6 and 9. I'm going to start with the former so I can say something positive before the storm that is the latter. Saying that, I am very much in support of recognizing Workers' Memorial Day as an official holiday. As someone whose uncle was a member of the United Auto Workers, a holiday dedicated to work to them, to their memory, is something that should be dedicated in the memory of those who lost their lives while doing their insane work. But that is unfortunately where my positivity ends. Because I cannot believe that giving Consumers Energy a tax exemption for a potential property was even put on this agenda. Not that, I don't know if that many people get that many tax write-offs to repair their roofs, but an energy company gets one to build their property or something like along those lines. This is the nightmare scenario of living in Ancapistan that I wouldn't even begin to comprehend even living in. Those who know political compass memes know what I'm talking about. No matter what the situation, companies need to pay their fair share without any exceptions. Their parent company has about a share of approximately $6.7 billion. I'm sure they can afford to do whatever they can do without a tax exemption for anything in general, even if it means something to do with their property. That's all I need to say, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Emily Childress, followed by Elizabeth Rice.
Hello, I am here because I have a home that is scheduled to be torn down. The house has been in my family for over 50 years. Unfortunately, it caught on fire. I hired a contractor. In the middle of working on it, he moved to Texas. I hired a plumber who was doing a great job, but then COVID hit and he died. I have not had very good luck with contractors, and recently someone named Alan contacted me, and I have a sales agreement. He and his company is willing to purchase the home. It's in a very historic neighborhood. The house is solid. He wants to repair it and sell it and make it another family home for a fortunate family. Unfortunately, I have had so much bad luck with even licensed contractors till I am now broke. I've exhausted all of my savings. And Cedar Properties LLC is willing to come in, restore the home, and they can get it back together and get it on the market. If the house gets torn down, I've got no money. At least this way the house will be saved. Those memories will be saved. And a new family could move in there. The city will still be able to get profit from the house. I mean, new family move in, they'll be able to pay their taxes and do all the things that if the house is no longer there, won't be done. I mean, the house is worth saving. And like I said, I've got the purchase agreement right here. They're ready to start pulling permits. They just need the time to get the work done to get the house on the market.
Ma'am, the work that we're doing right now will be setting a show cause hearing, which will be on May 8th. Then it will go back to the Public Safety Committee, and then at that time, you and the person who's going to purchase it can come before the Public Safety Committee. And there's, the things that we ask for is that all permits are pulled, that there is evidence of financing, that the repairs can be made, and a timeline. So you will have time to put those things together. May 8th is just the show cause hearing.
Where would that be, ma'am?
That will be here again, and then it will be at the Public Safety Committee on, just a second. The 14th. Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Pardon? Yes. May 14th at 3:30, back in the conference room.
Okay, so 2 additional meetings, May 8th
Yes.
and May 14th.
Yes.
Sorry, the public safety meeting is May 16th, not the 14th. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'll call and get clarification.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And that was regarding 1309 West Shiawassee. Regarding the same address, Elizabeth Rice, followed by Mike Lynn.
Hello there, my name's Elizabeth Rice, Libby Rice. I did want to speak to the issue of the show cause hearing for 1309 West Shiawassee. Simply this, that house burned, and thank God, there was no one harmed that I know of. My concern is actually not so much with the residents, though I would think that insurance could have helped them at some point with their issues along the way. But be that as it may, my point is code compliance. It was at least 5 years ago that this building burned. There was some effort to be made originally, and that was visible. However, a year and a half ago, I called code compliance and I said, what is with this building? And he said, I cannot talk about it. We're in negotiations with the family about this. And I tried to follow up later and could not reach that individual. I have extreme sympathy for anyone who loses their house. This was a residence. I see similar problems in my neighborhood. Code compliance is nowhere to be found. And why this should stay visible and, in this state of a burned house is ridiculous. We lost people in a tenant, in a rental property. In my neighborhood also, a 17-year-old died in that fire. A rental should have smoke detectors. No smoke detectors. So I learned from the news. Come on, people. We have to do something. This is absurd. If we want to be You know, a world-class city, as a former mayor said, we better act like one and at least get people safe housing. I don't care about ESG grants or whatever. How about we do our job here, okay? I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mike Lynn, followed by Erica Lynn.
She's gonna be mad. You keep calling me before her.
You turn it in first.
No, it's not your fault. I am actually speaking on number 13, but not because I meant to. I'm actually speaking about the aspect that, and I'm glad it worked out the way that she came up here and spoke, because we're talking about accessibility as it pertains to some of these show causes, but other things that community members who don't usually come here. This is like the Breakfast Club for the most part out here in this audience. Most people here know each other. They've been down here every week. They come here, they know the fluctuations. I mean, I go to committee meetings. It's a task, and unfortunately my schedule provides me the ability to do that. But just as I was listening to her speak about her situation with this and talking about, you know, she asked the question, so 2 more meetings? And when you think about it, and what we know, there's 112,000 people in this city, and I think we have maybe, I don't know, 100 people in this room today. And some days it's less than that, and in committee meetings you may get 1 or 2 people. So what I'm asking is that I appreciate all that you all have done for accessibility. I think it's great. I came in there today, and there are some technical difficulties, as there seems to always be with internet stuff, but for the most part, you guys have been archiving them since you've been doing it, and there is accessibility to be able to watch them. But I'm thinking that when we ask for this resolution for people to be able to speak in this 2-way, and Brian T. Jackson actually wrote the resolution, and then you ask 54A Judge Ward how they do it there when they have, I mean, there's tons of information that has to go back and forth, and they're able to do that. And you asked how much that would cost, and she said $0, and they're very efficient with that. Is that I'm asking Brian T., like, you wrote the resolution, let's get some action on that, and I appreciate what you guys have already done, but I mean, we're not gonna stop until you either tell us hell no or yes, or we're working on it and this is the date that we're gonna get it from. But I think having accessibility for these people who have this, because I know some of these people don't show up to, for one reason or the other, they can't show up to these things, and then the house just gets demolished. And so I just think about the aspect of, if, even with just this simple thing, if people could show up by way, just like the county commissioners do, by way of telephone or Zoom or whatever the case is, I just don't understand why this isn't something that we all want. Like, when I'm up there at some point in time, if I was ever to be on council, I would want to hear from these individuals. I'd want to hear that stuff. And a lot of times, people don't have the aptitude to be able to come down here for whatever reason. There's some people that I know that show up down here every week that don't come certain times, and I get concerned, like, what's going on with them? Well, we're living with somebody who has a chronic illness. I understand that some days they just can't, right? And you have to drag them up out of here to get to these events. So I really want you to focus, Brian, on getting that portion of the resolution put in. It seems that that question you asked was very pointed, and I know why you asked it. So let's put some work into that. And I do appreciate you all getting this, the accessibility you did. But for these people on here and those resolutions that I was able to tie this to speak on in the first portion, and everybody else, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Erica Lynn, and we are past the point where applause is permitted under the council's rules.
Hello, Erica Lynn. So I will start off by, I was going to speak in general terms because there was a lot of public hearing related agenda items tonight. It couldn't have worked out any better that a couple of people spoke to those, and a person that actually has a safe, make safe or demolish public hearing set, so she was able to come here and ask some very important questions and get some very important answers. But I don't have to speak in general terms. I can really point to individuals where it was really important for them to be able to be here tonight. But there's also a hearing going on with the community development block grant for outlining plans of spending well over $2 million. So I wanted to remind us all why public hearings are held. We just had 2 individuals come up here. I think that's good enough a reminder, but it also just inherently provides an opportunity for all residents to voice their opinions and their concerns about a lot of issues that affect not only their community, but a lot of times their homes and their individual community or their individual situations. I want to really talk a little bit about the resolution. So the People's Council of Lansing, we were really excited. We were hopeful when you guys passed the resolution last October to increase accessibility and transparency at council and committee meetings. And although the progress of streaming committee meetings have been made, and we are thankful for that, that's a step in the right direction, but we know that true accessibility and transparency does require two-way communication. We need movement on that. The People's Council of Lansing and the ask of the people is very clear. That is a very, very crucial piece to this puzzle. There are folks that may have wanted to attend tonight's public hearing or may want to attend their own Make Safe or Demolish public hearings and cannot. I am fortunate to have the privilege of being able to create capacity for myself as someone that lives with something that would be known as an invisible illness or a non-apparent disability. I can create capacity often by maybe taking a couple hours off of work in the afternoon to be able to prep myself and create capacity to come here because it's that important to me for my voice to be heard. Sometimes I cannot create that capacity, and I don't have the option to come here and have my voice heard. We requested an official update via email twice over the past month that, to my knowledge, has gone unanswered. And I just want to remind you that during the pandemic, you acted quickly, and it got done and it increased public participation. In the Ingham County Board of Commissioners, they have hybrid meetings, committee and regular board meetings. Eaton County, Delta Township, they're hybrid in many of the same ways, and we heard tonight that 54A District Court does it at no cost. I urge you, as I have in the past, where there is a will, there is a way. So I want you to show us that our participation and our engagement and our voices matter regardless of our physical ability to stand up here and talk on this podium.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are to the referral of the public hearings. Number
And-
3, the CDBG money.
And that will go back to committee of a whole. And at this time, we do have our applicant here, so we'll go to Councilmember Brown for item number 4.
Okay, thank you so much. We have an appointment for David Washburn as a City of Lansing member of the Local Development Finance Authority for a term to expire June 30th, 2025. He came to the committee. He is the current executive director for Michigan State University Research Foundation and has a significant amount of experience with economic development initiatives as well as investment portfolios and so on, and was appointed by Governor Snyder to serve on the board of MEDC from 2015 to 2019. And so I make a very qualified gentleman, I make a motion to approve the appointment.
We have a motion. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Washburn, if you could come down and we can get you sworn in.
Come right on through and up to this mic. Yep, face the audience. And if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Local Development Finance Authority Board Member
Local Development Finance Authority Board Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, with that, I will turn to Councilmember Hussein for the consent agenda. We've taken care of item 4. Item 5 was pulled, and item 7 was also taken care of.
All right, thank you. So that leaves us with item number 6. This is a resolution of tribute and recognition of Workers' Memorial Day. Item 8, which is a resolution that pertains to an industrial development district for Consumers Energy at 7,000 North Canal Road in Diamondale. A resolution number 9 pertaining to a personal property tax exemption filed by Consumers Energy Company, again, for the same location of 7,000 North Canal Road in Dimondale. And then lastly, if I'm not mistaken, a resolution that pertains to a grant application, Michigan National Resources Trust Fund, revised resolution 2023-047. And with that, I would move the consent agenda.
We have a motion on the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we're to resolutions for action. Item 11, the Lansing-based bidders.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Sure, I would move the resolution to get this in front of us, but this would essentially set the percentage difference that allows a local-based vendor to bid for a project from 5% to 10%. Currently, under ordinance, the limit is between $15,000 and $500,000, and then the range within that from which the second lowest bidder can bid is set at 5% by resolution. We're changing it to 10%. Following this, there's an ordinance that would change that to $1 million with a 10% variance. So that's the resolution that is referenced in the ordinance.
All right, we have a resolution before us. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 12 through 14 are show cause hearings.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure. So the first deals with setting a show cause hearing for the property at 318 Clifford Street. Listed taxpayer, actually taxpayers in this case, are Daniel D. and Kimberly Dudley. The state equalized value of the home was estimated at $37,500, and the estimated cost of repairs was estimated at $80,905. There was an original red tag date of August 22nd, 2011. We sent violation letters on August 22nd of 2011, and then again on April 28th of 2022. This was submitted into demo on October 13th of 2022, and went before the demo board for a show cause hearing on February 23rd, 2023. The demo board then issued a make safe or demolish order on February 23rd, 2023, which at that time, it was then referred to City Council. Our understanding is that no permits have been pulled and no work has been done. So the show cause hearing, if approved by this body, would be May 8th at 7 p.m. And with that said, I move the resolution.
All right, we have a motion. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Councilmember Hussein.
All right, so this show cause hearing, the setting of the show cause hearing would pertains to 1309 West Shiawassee Street. Of course, we did hear from the owner during public comment. We also heard some guidance from our council president to the owner of this particular property. In any event, this is a fire damaged home. The SEV of the home is $56,500. The estimated cost of repairs was estimated at $128,000. There was an original red tag date of March 6th, 2017, and then it was submitted in a demo on June 29th of 2017. There were a couple different demo board show cause hearings, one on August 23rd of 2018, and then again on 2/12/2023, and as referenced earlier, there was some work done after the original demo board show cause hearing. Then there was our understanding, a change of ownership that occurred on April 26th of 2022. Work has since ceased to continue. No additional permits. Permits have expired or closed out. No additional permits have been pulled. And so the demo board again moved forward on February 23rd of 2023 with a make safe or demolish order. As in with the last case, the show cause hearing would be set for May 8th at 7 p.m. should it be approved by this body. With that being said, I'd move the resolution.
A motion. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, and the last show cause hearing, or the setting of show cause hearing for tonight is for 1020 Woodbine Avenue. The listed taxpayer in this case is a Cow Lupin. This is another fire damaged property, so we'd be looking at a 30-day make safe or demolish. State equalized value of this property, $8,500. That's one of the lowest SEVs I've ever seen. But it was referenced in, or discussed in committee that the fire caused near total loss with regards to this particular property. Estimated cost of repairs is estimated at $82,797.75. The original red tag date was May 24th, 2022. This was submitted into demo on January 23rd of 2023. There was a show cause hearing in front of the demo board on February 23rd, 2023. And then there was an eventual order by the demo board on March 23rd, 2023. Because again, at that point, no permits had been pulled. They had not heard from the owner. And no work was had been essentially established along a timeline. The show cause hearing, as in the case of the other two, would be May 8th at 7 p.m. There was a question of Walter Allen, who was our code officer, that was on hand as part of committee, whether or not there was any insurance money held for the demo of this particular property. And we did receive an answer post committee that there is a check in the amount of $5,988 that is being held by building safety for potential demo of this particular property. So with that being said, I would move the resolution pertaining to 1020 Woodbine Avenue.
All right, we have a motion before us. Are there any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
We're to item 15, wet weather control program.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move the resolution adopting and approving the Wet Weather Control Program project plan. It does include 6 CSO projects, CSO Area 16 and 17 Phase 2 project for a total of $13 million, CSO Area 19, which is $12 million, CSO Area 22E, which is $35 million, CSO Area 26 project, which is $12 million, the Downtown Cherry Street project, which is $6 million, and finally the CSO Downtown North Pine Street and Kalamazoo Street projects, $6 million there. A couple of SSO projects, which are sanitary sewer overflow projects at the Hilliard Homes Equalization Basin for $13 million, the Lansing Avenue Pump Station Equalization Basin for $22 million, Tecumseh River Road Pump Station Rehabilitation for $8 million, and I don't know if, we don't talk about SSOs a lot, but we talked about them this afternoon in Public Operations Committee. They're essentially retention places for waste. So when there is a rain event, so that the sanitary sewers aren't overridden with human waste and flow into the river, they go into retention, then allowing them to be released once the rain event is over. Approving these projects will put us at about 75% done with our CSO project. That sounds like a great goal. We're trying to be at to 95% under the consent agreement with the government, federal and state government. However, that remaining 25% would still put us at about $500 million left to spend on the CSO. Just some anecdotal information for you before we do approve this plan, though it was well presented in committee. Just a reminder of how much farther we still have to go.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Are there any questions on this at all? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, then item 16 is the collective bargaining agreement for the firefighters.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, just very briefly, because we did just discuss this as part of committee of the whole. This CBA does encompass a 4-year agreement effective July 1st of 2022 with retroactive pay. Year 1 will see a 3% increase for all active employees on payroll. Year 2, a 3% increase in terms of wages. Year 3, 2%, and year 4, 2%. There is a signing bonus of $1,000 that would be paid to all active employees on payroll. There were a number of changes to the balance of the contract. Some dealt with final average compensation and how that will actually be determined, as well as multipliers, and of course we're talking about retirement benefit. There were some changes to sick leave, some changes to positions that are actually internal to the department. There were a number of amendments to Article 24 that dealt with promotions, and as it was explained as part of our closed session, that is really to increase the candidate pool for promotions and to kind of pivot away from some of the seniority-based that process that we followed in the past. There was some change to holiday pay, stipends, ambulance pay, to really incentivize people from moving from EMTs to the paramedic side of things. And we did approve this out of committee of the whole for consideration tonight. So with that said, I would move the resolution.
We have a motion before us. Are there any questions? Councilmember Spatafor.
Sure. Not question really. I just wanted to highlight, Councilmember Hussein did a nice job of discussing this in committee of the whole, but I do want to thank Local 421 and the administration for working together really to ensure that we're curtailing legacy costs so that we're not saddling the city with years and years of extra debt while still keeping us competitive and offering robust benefits so that our public safety apparatus is professional and well-staffed. So I really want to just put that on the record, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if I could add very quickly, I also want to thank the rank and file. This approved, and there were some concessions, but this was approved, I think on about a 4-to-1? Yeah, so it's like 120 to 20. And so I think this is just another example of our workers doing what they can, do to make sure that the city remains financially solvent. So we appreciate that.
All right. Any other questions or concerns or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to ordinances for passage. We have an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend the Lansing Codified Ordinances by amending Chapter 206, Section 206.16 to increase the maximum contract amount contract amount for which a Lansing-based bidder has an opportunity to match the lowest bid from a non-Lansing-based business is read a second time by its title. The ordinance was reported from the Committee on Ways and Means and is on the order of immediate passage.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yeah, sure, what Chris said. I would move the ordinance first, but this is essentially allows us as a city to go to anyone who bids on a project for the city. If it's less than $1 million, but more than $15,000, we could go back to the second lowest bidder if they're a Lansing-based bidder and allow them to come within 10% of that, now that we've passed the resolution, to compete for that business, see if they can match it within 10%. It allows us to put our money into local vendors that reside here in the city when we're spending city dollars. So I would probably move the ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion. Could you please call the roll?
Certainly. On the ordinance, Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cost.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Madam President, I'd request immediate effect.
Motion for immediate effect. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, next we have an ordinance of the City of Lansing, Michigan to amend Chapter 812, Section 812.02 of the Lansing Codified Ordinances to increase the number of members of the Principal Shopping District Board from 8 to 9 and clarify the requirements for board composition. The ordinance is read a second time by its title. It was reported from the Committee on Development and Planning and is on the order of immediate passage.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. This is basically so if they have 8 members, they would like 9, so if there's, so they're not getting deadlocked so much. So I move the ordinance.
All right, we have a motion on the ordinance. You could please call the roll.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cost.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes. 6
yeas, 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes, I'll motion for immediate effect.
A motion for immediate effect. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government related matters. If you haven't had an opportunity and want to speak for up to 3 minutes, please give Lauren a yellow form in the next minute or so. And in the meantime, we're to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure. I would move that, all items be considered as read in full and that the appropriate referrals be made by you, President Wood.
We have a motion before us. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
We have from the city clerk minutes of boards and commissions,
Placed on file.
and liquor license transfer Padsanab LLC to put an establishment at 221 South Washington.
City operations.
And from the mayor, we have a number of board and commission reappointments.
Committee of the Whole.
And for the public's note, if you want to see all the names, they are listed in the agenda, so you can look at all the names. Street decertification of portions of various streets in Lansing.
And that's city operations.
We have 2 workers' compensation settlements.
Ways and Means and Internal Auditor for both.
Okay, grant acceptance for Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Rural Electronics Recycle Grant.
Ways and Means and Internal Auditor.
The collective bargaining that the council's just approved,
Committee of the Whole and placed on file.
and the bylaws for the Lansing Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority.
Development and Planning.
Communications and petitions, we have a communication from Michael Lynn Jr. concerning actions of the city attorney's office.
Committee of the Whole and placed on file.
And we have 2 motion of excused absence.
Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, I would move that we excuse both Councilwoman Spitzley and Councilman Garza from tonight's proceedings.
We have a motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And we are to remarks by council members.
Any comments by council members? The only comment I would like to make at this time is on May 8th, the Committee on Public Safety will be doing a committee report on the red tagged crisis. As you might remember, this was a report that we'd asked each month to have, and so that will be given by the chair of the Public Safety Committee, outlining information that we have gleaned out of public safety and some measures as we're moving forward. Any other comments? Seeing none?
Remarks by the executive assistant to the mayor.
Thank you. I just have 2 items that I wanted to bring to council's attention. Again, there's just announcements. One is, please mark your calendars for May 17th or 517. I'm sure you know what that is, our area code. And this is for Love Lansing celebration. Please come. This is the day when we recognize our neighborhood leaders and thank them for their outstanding efforts that helped create our incredible, wonderful community. And this event will be held at the South Washington office, which is located at 2500 South Washington Avenue. Please note our social hour will start at 5:30 p.m., but the program will actually start at 6:30. So if you want to come a little bit early, talk to folks, please do so. Again, Love Lansing celebration. And then the last thing, and this is kind of was just brought to my attention very quickly. Thank you, City Council. Now that the CBA has been approved, our HR director has asked me to inform you that she will begin immediately to go out and place some info for our firefighter positions, our trainee, EMT, and paramedic. All of these postings will go live tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we're very excited, and we're anxious to get that started. I don't know the exact number because I did ask her how many positions overall, but she said that there were multiple positions that will be posted. So thank you, City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are to public comment on city government related matters. First, we have Mara Tomek Bobas, followed by Stan Schuck. And you have up to 3 minutes to address council, and I would remind folks, we are past the point in the agenda where the council rules allow for applause or any such demonstrations.
My name is Marathon Bobas. I am here.
Can you pull the mic down just a little bit to you? There you go.
Okay. I am here. We purchased house in 9 to 8 Brook Street, and that's why in fall last year. So as soon as we purchase house, we try and figure out how we can repair it. So we pull electrical permit and general contractor permit. But recently we get fine or $150, which we do not understand why, because we have a permit in place, we work, house is almost done, there is no trash around, everything is really 10 times better than we purchased, and we almost done. And reason that I came here and ask why we have to pay monitoring fee. There is no reason. The house is not like abandoned or wait forever. Permit is not expired, it's still valid. So that's my reason that I asked this question. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Stan Shuck, followed by Loretta Stanaway.
Stan Shuck, South Lansing, going to move along pretty quick. Adam, I'll answer your question since Andy didn't. It was 8 years for the hiatus on the CSO project. Why I'm here is the chip seal deal. Obviously, it's a catastrophe. Nobody's going to own that. You're not going to have an employee stand up and admit that due to their lack of due diligence in the contract, that there were millions of dollars worth of damage done across the city. I mean, most employees can't break a mirror on a truck without getting written up. At-will employees are at will for a reason, so they can be held accountable. They need to be held accountable, and the work needs to be done and completed. One of the problems with that is the city is sneaking around a little bit, testing these areas with the sweepers, and what they're finding is, like the crews reported, that chip seal is sharp. It's a straight grinder on the equipment. It's eating the conveyor belts on the sweepers, the few sweepers that we have that you heard about. So yeah, they are down. They are going down quickly and expeditiously because they're running over that chip seal that is absolutely sharp. The catch basins are full. They're over full. They're trying to vac them out. Those chip seals, those little chips are also clogging the vacs up. Those are metal impellers in there. So they're having trouble even cleaning those out. But with the CSO project and all our concern, I mean, that project, 20-year project, started in the 70s. I'll let you do the math. But how are we going to clean these catch basins out, and when are we going to do that? There was no mention of that. And he also acted like there was no cost involved. I know for a fact that the streets that they did experiment on, they had to go over them 2, 3, 4 times to get everything up. So tell me there's no added expense to that. That's just an absolute fallacy. Your tree problem, biggest part on your trees is you're allowing these contractors to come in here after the CSO project, and they're putting in ornamentals. That doesn't meet national standards. National standards is 3/4 trunk. The reason for that is then within a few years, the canopy gets above the maintenance vehicles, so they can, in fact, get to the curb. What, like he told you, there's nobody going to water these. There's nobody trimming them. If you want to know where to plant them, I guess you could plant them next to the 4,000 plus stumps that we're doing absolutely nothing to remove. And I also wonder, we're moving right along on the compost. I got to wonder, does that mean that all 6 employees that the fee pays for are hired? They're all on staff. It pays for 6, 4 compost and 2 in recycle. I'd like to know if all those positions are full.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Loretta Stanaway, followed by Elaine Wambolt.
Okay, you guys are winding forward on the budget issues, and I know that you've been thinking about this, but I want you to think even further than what you've gone so far. How are we going to fill a $50 million hole next fiscal year when there's no ARPA and CERA and CARES funds available, and you've plugged all these little gaps and holes with this little windfall money? Are we going to suddenly be told, well, you know, we hired 3 people in this department, but now because there's no more ARPA money, we have to let those folks go? What's it gonna translate to quality of life for all of us in the city? And relating to that, little episode for your information, yesterday on southbound Cedar, I was nearly hit by a wrong-way driver, and it missed me by about 2 feet before it hit the car adjacent to me. It took 30 minutes for LPD to respond to that crash while one of those vehicles sat in the road at risk of being hit again by another vehicle, and the 3 of us occupants of those 2 cars stood out in the cold, including a 3-year-old child, so that we wouldn't get hit in our vehicles. I was told that the reason it took so long for LPD to respond was because out of the 16 people that normally work on that shift, only 8 were there. Now, why there were only 8 that particular day and shift, I can't tell you. Maybe it relates to the 3 that retired last week that had 25 years experience each. And we lost 75 years worth of institutional knowledge. Maybe it relates to the fact that we're, as we hear constantly, having difficulty hiring because we're not responding quickly enough. Our wages aren't good enough, our benefits aren't good enough to compete with other companies. And then you've got $215,000 in the general fund budget under Sister City, Leap Support, My Brother, My Keeper, Arts and Cultures grants, etc., that might be better spent up in wages for fire and police and making the turnaround quicker for them getting hired and giving them the benefits they need to stay in a job instead of making a lateral move to another municipality that can do a better job providing for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Elaine Wambold, followed by Elizabeth Rice.
Elaine Wambold. Good evening, President Wood and council members. On Friday, April 21st, I saw a building permit posted at 4924 MLK. The name Greenhaven Inc. was on the permit. It was applied for in November 11 of 2021, issued on January 3rd, 22, and it expired 7/22. I had no other information about the business. Since this business is in my neighborhood and in the old L&L corporate office, I started to investigate. Today, April 24, I found out from my 3rd Ward Councilmember Hussein, it was a marijuana microbusiness, and the only one in Ward 3, and it had a conditional approved license from the city clerk's office. It is my understanding the name has now been changed to Haven Investments. I'd like to see that building permit, if there is one. Is this another code compliance problem? Surprise! Our neighborhood, nor Councilman Hussein, knew it was going to be a marijuana microbusiness pending state approval. Seems at least the 3rd Ward council member should have gotten this information. So much for transparency again. Thank you very much, Councilmember Hussein. If it were not for you, I would not have gotten this information and been able to comment tonight. Just so 4th Ward knows, residents, you have one too. It's called Spartan MB LLC, and it's located at 4600 North Grand River. This message is for Mayor Shore. So much for neighborhood engagement, working together, or building trust. You have lost all those sayings and so much more from me because they are now just empty words. I'd like to have this also placed on public notice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you, council members, for your hard work. I know full well it isn't you that are stopping the progress in the city of Lansing and making it a capital city again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Rice, followed by Nicholas Zandy.
Hello, Elizabeth Rice again. Question for you, Clerk Swope. I had 3 issues there that I wanted to address. What were the first 2, please?
311 and code compliance.
Oh, okay, 311. 311, I have used twice. One time was fairly benign and helpful. The second time, not in the least. I could go into details, but I don't want to waste time. I know how to dial my department. I used to get better service, by the way, through public service than through 311. End of story on 311 for me. You might just try calling 311 yourself or any department and see what happens to you. Okay, on to code compliance. Again, here's a new one. Not exactly new, but the fire that killed a 17-year-old here in Lansing, code compliance problem, as I spoke of, a fire in a rental property without smoke detectors. Now, I assume the city has caused it to be pushed over. The building has been pushed over now that the fire inspectors are done, and nobody has come to clean it up. That has been for at least 6 weeks. All I need to say, we have some problems. Code compliance. Lastly, and this will be a little bit more involved, what the hell is this city budget about? The mayor, I understand, develops the budget. And he's not here tonight, and that's really disappointing to me. We have a budget where I'm seeing one thing that is particularly irksome, and that is economic development and planning. We have something called Downtown Lansing, Inc., and they have decided to go for an overall budget increase of 514.4%. I presume that's with all the CARES and whatever grants are coming through. I don't know what Downtown Lansing, Inc. does, but I do see what is happening downtown. And all I'll say is this budget is absurd. And can't we get back to simply taking care of our city? I understand you all do your job. I'm really upset with what's going on here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Nicholas Zandy, followed by Daniel K. Arnold.
Okay. Is this thing on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, a company whose parent has a net worth of nearly $7 billion was enough to make my stomach turn. But now, after hearing what people have to say about that property that burned down, where a 17-year-old died, that makes what I have to say about Consumers Energy look like a mild annoyance by comparison. In general, leaving little oversight and regulations on many, many buildings, properties, and houses, this can actually lead to hazards like this occur, to possibly fire hazards, and can lead to someone's death, like what happened to that 17-year-old teenager. I mean, I remember what it was like to be 17 years old. I was a junior in high school, thinking about a career as an adult. And for someone who was probably also thinking of that, to have their life cut short because of a fire, that just not only saddens me, it angers me that something like this happened. And there are many reasons. And speaking of properties, the fact that there are several buildings that are being rad tagged shows that leaving things to the market is actually not the best idea out there. I mean, there's some things that should be left to markets, but but overseeing properties should not be left to solely to private businesses. Government should at least have some oversight. And I feel really sorry for people who have lived in those unsafe properties who were just recently red tagged, because nobody deserves to live in unsafe places like that. There needs not only be harsher regulations on properties, but they also need to be better utilized to prevent properties from being unsafe for anyone at all to live in, let alone cause a fire or something like that. And it's not only another reason why we need to be better at managing our budget, we need to do increase funds for certain departments. We also need to be better utilizing them as well, and also be more transparent about them, because there could be people dying because of situations like this, and some who actually did. And that is honestly all I need to say, and I shall yield the last second of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Daniel Arnold, followed by Asia Wilson.
Hey everybody, just so happy to be before all of you today. I absolutely love Lansing, and there's a lot I could say today, so we'll just see what I can do in 3 minutes. Hi, I'm Daniel Arnold, Facebook guy Smiley. I'm a MOP, a member of the public, a conscientious citizen that does my civic duty to report danger and support public safety, local, state, federal, advocating for vulnerable populations, homeless, addicts, ex-offenders, mental health consumers. Jesus is Lord, I'll never be bored. So I was at this public safety committee meeting, and I heard Councilmember Hussein share about the broken window theory thing that I brought up, and that just really touched my heart to see you guys listening and interacting. So there's just so many different sectors that I mentioned for the vulnerable populations, the homeless, there's just a lot of services out there. I don't know if they're reaching everybody, but in the park, there's these nonprofits like Punks with Lunch and Cardboard Profits that are just reaching out and just loving on them without any compensation. But also City Rescue Missions just feeding every single night, and it's just I enjoy as a community member the opportunity to just fellowship with them and enjoy some food. Addicts, there's programs like Endeavor House and Celebrate Recovery and Rise, and but it's really hard to be an addict in Lansing for some of these people because there's just so much temptation around. But it's just they're part of our community, so we got to consider them. Ex-offenders want to be called returning citizens, and I see Ashia Wilson has been out here today. Nation Outside is just doing great things to fight for help get housing for the returning citizens. And mental health, as I said, there's a community forum that is meeting this Thursday at 5:30 at the Fledge. Luna founded that, and it's just really important that we give a voice to people who have their rights violated. Well, I guess I have enough time to talk a little bit longer here. So as we come to these meetings every couple of weeks, I get the opportunity when I'm interacting with local, state, federal security police to come in contact with DK Security every day. They're downstairs right now just listening. They got here really early this morning, and they're listening to this meeting. They see you guys. They see everything you're doing. And Lansing Police Department's right there. I really support what they're doing for the community. Yeah, I get taken care of by all these different people. Get gifts, all different people that represent, local, state, federal security, police, and I'm just so glad to be in this city with all of you here. Hearing Michael Lynn share what he's going through, and Erica Lynn. Let's all rise up and do the best we can. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Asia Wilson, followed by Alyssa Tersak.
Hello, my name is Asia Wilson. I am the Lansing Chapter Community Engagement Specialist for Nation Outside, and also the Day Reporting Program Coordinator for Northwest Initiatives Program Arrow. And I'm here on behalf of housing for the formerly incarcerated. It's very important that we get this pushed. Not only am I formerly incarcerated, but that's the population that I work with between both jobs. And housing and employment are the two biggest issues that I see the formerly incarcerated person face. In order for somebody to feel like they belong in a community, those are the two things that people need the most. Those are the two areas that I've had two of the biggest issues in upon returning to the city of Lansing, and still have issues with. I know that we make mistakes, and I believe that everybody deserves a second chance. It's just that some of us become incarcerated and others get second chances without even being caught in the mix of anything. But just because we are formerly incarcerated does not mean that we're bad people, and we do deserve a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alyssa Turkzak, followed by Rachel Diskin.
Hello, I am speaking about accessible city council meetings. My name is Alyssa Tursak. I am a First Ward resident. After moving to Michigan in 2016, to this area specifically, I didn't truly feel invested in my community until I began tuning into city council meetings in 2020 on Zoom. And hearing my neighbors speak about their lives and the things that impacted the city made me feel like I was a part of something bigger. I know that it's probably a lot of work to sit here and listen to so many people talk, especially when you care, right? You're in these positions because you care, and compassion fatigue is a real thing. And so I'm asking you to give me a couple more minutes to talk about why this is important. I still tune into the live stream every other week. I don't often get to make it down here. In fact, this is the first time I'm able to look most of you in the eyes. And so I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I made it possible for myself to be here tonight through making arrangements so that I can make my voice be heard, and on behalf of our neighbors whose voices are still waiting to be heard. Please continue working for two-way communication in city council meetings. We know that real change happens in local politics. That sounded like a question. I do that when I'm nervous, sorry. We know that real change happens in local politics. And so I'm asking you to bring the change making to the community members who elected you, even if they're tuning in from home. Thank you for your commitment to increasing accessibility for attending meetings. And I hope that you will please follow through in the next step of the resolution that you passed in October. I wasn't gonna make this joke, but I have time, so I'm gonna do it. This isn't written, so it'll be a little more casual, but I am in recovery from a substance use disorder, and I know that city council might make you feel like drinking, but city council makes me not drink because I'm paying attention. I have something to put my time in, something to invest in. Even though you don't see me, again, this sounds weird, but I'm watching you all. That sounds so creepy, but I am watching. And so please take the next step, right? We want to engage. There are so many people I'm speaking on behalf of and myself. So thanks for your consideration, and with that, I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rachel Diskin, followed by Erica Lynn.
Hello. All right, so I'm Rachel Diskin, and I had to give Alyssa props for her joke. I'm here for it. But thank you, council members, for your action on the resolution in October. I really do appreciate that we've got committee meetings and council meetings viewable on YouTube. I also watch from home when I'm not able to be here in person. And I think we heard plenty of reasons, real life reasons, why being able to have two-way access to city council meetings is important here today, earlier. So I'm not going to get into that. I'm sure you can think of plenty of reasons why somebody would be unable to make it here in person, but would be able to stream live. I am going to get into it. I'm in a volunteer group where somebody joins on their lunch break right? Like, I can't drive here and come to city council on my lunch break. So there's all kinds of reasons. Anyway, we emailed you for an update. Didn't get any response about that. And I was kind of thinking back to 2022, the last time I was here in person, was when you all passed the resolution. And I asked, like, why we aren't just continuing on with the Zoom piece of it. And you all said it was a budget issue. So I would really love an update, since it's been almost 6 months now, an update to how much that costs. Since that was the issue that was told to me, I would love that. So I'm going to send another email, and hopefully someone will respond to me to give an update on where we're at with the 2A council meetings. But I will also like to mention that we heard about quite a few problems that are happening in the city, and I know, like, I work in public service, and sometimes I'm like looking at the list of things that are wrong, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to get to any of this. Like, it feels very overwhelming. The housing crisis, the homelessness crisis, we've got a lot going on, and what it really feels like it boils down to me is that there's no way to hold people accountable within our current system. I also believe that you all are doing everything you can. Like, I don't think that you are holding up progress in this city. I think the problem is the mayoral system. We need to have a charter change to a city manager system. So I wanted to throw that out there as a way to be able to hold folks accountable to all of these different things that probably feel really overwhelming to you. That's a great step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Erica Lynn, followed by Mike Lynn.
Hello, Erica Lynn, again, lifetime Lansing resident, and I too agree with Rachel on everything she just said. I think a lot of the issues that we see are definitely a result of a lack of accountability, and I think that the strong mayor system simply does not work for the city of Lansing, Michigan, of our size, our scope, and we're not just seeing it, it's really apparent this administration, but I think we can all agree we've also seen that in the past. So I'm in agreements there. Tonight, we heard from several directors, and we have over the last few weeks when we're talking about the budget conversations, because a lot of really great questions have been brought up, a lot of comments, a lot of conversation and discussion around really important things, and we found out a lot of really, really disturbing red flag type things over the last few weeks based on some of those answers and a lot of those non-answers. And I wanted to talk about some of the issues and the questions and the concerns that have come up that are literally not even remotely new at all. Some issues are actually years in the making, and that there's still no tangible actions, there's no plans, or anything that's already in process. Just once, I would love to hear a literal list of things that have been done, things that have been accomplished over the last year, along with some action items that are in process. And then we end it with some plans for what's to come. It seems like there's a lot of focusing on talking about problems and identifying problems, what they want to do, what things that they have planned and things that they're looking at, without really taking any concrete steps to actually address the issues. And the issue with that is it leaves zero room for accountability or progress. We the people, at this point, I'm sure you can tell, are very, very tired. We are tired of the propaganda. We are tired of being lied to. We're tired of being gaslit, being told about all the great things that are going on downtown and the events that the mayor is attending and where he's having lunch today, all while our city burns around us. There's a word that we all know, and it's used in the corporate world usually, and it's called firefighting. It describes situations where a person or a team only addresses problems that arise as a result of their own actions, inactions, and decisions. And it is the most inefficient, ineffective, and harmful way of working. And if the person responsible for creating the problems is also the one who's tasked with solving them, the root causes will never be addressed, just the symptoms. And usually that's with the Band-Aid that comes off constantly, and just long enough for the most recent fire to be put out. This is a very tactical and deliberate attempt to create a positive perception of our city and our mayor's reputation. And a mayor's reputation should never matter more than solving the issues of our city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mike Lynn, followed by Farhan Sheikh Omar.
Dang it, I gotta go after that. Wow, what do I say now? I'm gonna think of something. I had a whole thing. What I'm seeing is the tale of two cities, really is what we got going on here. And it's frustrating to me because I'm on the side that I'm kind of fighting against, right? I'm somebody who's kind of middle class. I have all my basic needs met. And then I seem to be speaking for those who don't. So it's kind of contradictory to my own self that I'm asking for things that I should be happy about, or asking for things to go away that I should be happy about, like our downtown. I talked about that, all this new downtown development. And Carol, you're right. The mayor did come on and say that he's looking for federal spending and whatnot. I think it's $5 million to the Michigan corridor, revitalization, $800,000 to building a playground. And when I think about that, I think like 5 years ago, I would have been super excited about that stuff because I was just a middle class guy that had a Corvette and was like trying to figure out where I can go have a drink on a patio somewhere. So all of the stuff that they're building would have excited me. And then I got into this realm of advocacy when I started looking around me and I started to feel shameful for enjoying those environments while people around me were begging for change, and it aggravated me. Then when I go outside when I used to smoke cigarettes, to smoke a cigarette, and the homeless person would come asking me while I'm trying to enjoy my weekend for $1. And it would aggravate me even though I would give them that $1. And I can remember that I was that person. And when I talk to some moderates in the city and some people who voted for Andy again in this administration, they tell me that they think this city's on a good track, it's doing a good thing. And that's the tale of two cities. You got some people who feel like everything is amazing. Then you got others who are just dealing with life every day, trying to just survive. And then you have me that's in the middle, right, is trying to say, hey, are we not paying attention to these people as well? And then I get this sour response that, like, I don't have to be up here advocating for these issues. I say this every time I come up here. I'm taken care of, fine. 3 months in Florida every year, I'm cool. Even with everything that I've gone through. And I still show up here every week to speak for the constituents that you all serve as well, to name that this is just corruption at its finest. We're literally living in the Sims world, but we have a player that's like putting the phone down for 6 months at a time. And if you've ever played Sims, you know what that means. You come back, your house is on fire, there's no food, there's no water, the city systems have all gone to hell. That's literally what we have. So every time you guys have all these influxes of issues, and it's one red flag after another. And this red flag with the red tag houses, he'll get ahead of by the media because we have nobody from council who you all know the problems for real. Somebody from here needs to designate themselves as an Andy BS meter. And you're gonna, every time he goes to WLX to say some BS because they're all behind him, backing him, you stand up to tell the truth. It's ethics violations in the way that I see it, that he keeps lying to the public through the media. We know what it's all about. It's all about his next campaign, but it's still lies. And from that public seat, he just can't do that. So much more I need to say, but you guys can watch America tonight at 8 o'clock, after this, and see what else I have to say.
Next and finally, we have Farhan Sheikh Omar.
Good evening. Farhan Sheikh Umar. Let's see. I want to talk about the hypocrisy that takes place during these meetings. You guys tell us not to clap, but after you guys have a little ceremony here, you guys always clap. And so it seems like do as I say, not as I do. Another thing I want to talk about is the city ordinance that we have in place, 1460.01, which states that any red tag building shall be vacated and that no person shall occupy any such structure or allow any domestic animal to occupy any such structure. Right there, it states that any building that has been red tagged should not be occupied. Yet, we have people who are living in red tag properties. So right there, the city attorney's office in this city is violating its own city laws. And nobody is being held accountable. Nobody. We are a nation of laws, and we cannot pick and choose which laws we're going to uphold and let the other ones go. It needs to be across the board when it comes to holding people accountable. You talk about a 17-year-old that died in this city. There's a toddler that died in this city. All from the same problem, because the properties are not registered with the city, because the properties don't have smoke detectors, because the properties didn't pass inspection, because the properties don't have rental certificates. Next week is gonna mark a month since you guys held that red tag emergency meeting that we had. A month, and yet we haven't seen any plan from you guys. There hasn't been any action put in place since then. Andy doesn't have a plan. What he gave to WLNS the other day, that interview, that was a propaganda. I read it. He didn't say anything that was meaningful or had any plan put in place. That's why he can't show up to meetings. He claims to be the CEO of this of this city, and he can't show up to meetings because he's scared, because he doesn't have a plan. He's not a real leader. Real leaders show up even when things get hard. They don't send their 5 deputies to come talk to us. You guys have no shame. Literally no shame at all. People are dying in this city, and that doesn't even move you guys. You guys go to the news and act as if you guys have any plans put in place. There's no federal funding coming to the city. Well, it did, $50 million, and you guys wasted it on that wish list that you guys had, that Christmas shopping that you guys did. There's no money coming from the state. None. Stop lying to the public. Andy, I know you can hear me. Stop lying to the public and start doing your job. We're tired of the propaganda. This is not North Korea.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was our final speaker.
Jane, the woman that spoke about the $150 is back there, so if you would please go back and give her Nick's number so that she can reach out and speak to him on that issue.
Thank you, Council President. I'm already on top of that. I sent it to the appropriate people, but I'll go talk to her anyway.
All right, thank you. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you.